I didn't realize I would be talking to the guy who brought chicken wings to the masses.
Makes them in that percentage, right? So
right.
it works out okay.
It works out.
It works out okay. So
I think people just like eating with their hands too.
They do.
I think there's a lot to that, honestly.
No, they do, and it's a little messy. And we did a focus group with consumers. And I still remember the number one reason women don't prefer wings at that time. I'm sure it's changed.
Welcome to MeatsPad. In collaboration with the American Meat Science Association, it's a platform dedicated to share breakthrough knowledge that is accessible to the global meat industry. On each episode, you'll have the opportunity to listen and learn from meat specialists and professionals about the whole meat industry. This podcast is brought to you by Ultrasource, equipment and supplies for the meat and food industry.
Hello, meat folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. It's your happy, hungry host, Phil Bass. Guys, we have an individual, and I won't take too much of his time because this is apparently his last official full day on the job. Dr. Craig Bacon, I'm so grateful to have you here, even though I'm sure that you're still got some things wrapping up there at the Simmons company.
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of a fun day. You spend a career doing this, and suddenly you wake up at the end of it, right? So, it goes by really fast.
Yeah.
And when you really look at what you train and what you do, and hopefully you made a difference.
Well, I know that is the case, and we'll explore that a little bit more. But for folks who aren't familiar with Dr. Bacon, having a last name Bacon, that's traditionally a pork product, but you're here to help me unpack the poultry business a little bit. My understanding is you spent a little bit of time with poultry meats.
Yeah, I definitely did. When I finished at the University of Tennessee and coached meats judging teams, I really didn't know what a chicken was. I started at Oscar Mayer. And they did a little bit of turkey, and I got to do a little bacon there. So that was all cool.
Yeah.
Moved from there to Tyson Foods and spent 27 years leading the R&D at the last. I will tell you, Phil, of all the journeys from an R&D perspective, that palette was the biggest I've ever could imagine. I did IBP fresh meats. We did bakery items, we did tortillas, pizza crust, Sara Lee muffins, ballpark hot dogs, Hillshire lunch meat, and of course chicken, right? So when I first got there, it was predominantly a chicken company and only that.
Yeah.
And as they say, you show up for the first day, and as a red meats person, they start teaching you what a wog is. And
right.
So I had no idea what they were talking about, but now I know what a wog is pretty well. So the last 8 years at Simmons, a private label manufacturer in the poultry space, as well as pet food. And those are kind of the two areas that I've spent the last 8 years kind of continuing my craft of not only R&D, but here at Simmons, I lead the food safety groups as well.
Okay. Well, yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit. And it's interesting you mentioned the IBP side of things. And so for those listening, if you're not familiar with some of these terms, WOG without giblets or giblets, depending on how you pronounce that, that's a chicken. Okay.
That's a chicken.
That's a chicken. And then IBP, Iowa beef processors, right? I think that's what the P was. In what was that, mid 90s, late 90s, that Tyson acquired the beef company?
Yeah, that's correct. I think maybe 95. Is that
95.
right?
Yeah.
I believe that's correct. And, a $8 billion company acquired a $20 billion company. So it was, and by the way, that company had not been through any integration themselves. So they had a lot of small companies, and it took a while to digest that, to be honest with you.
Well, and that set absolute ripples through the industry. The chicken guys just bought the big beef guys, and so created quite an empire of meat processing, manufacturing, et cetera. And that also about was the time I like to share in my classes red meat and poultry production tonnage over years, and it was kind of around the mid to late 90s when poultry surpassed
Yeah.
beef production in the United States. That is a huge change. Let's talk a little bit about maybe what was going on and why poultry has become such a big part of meat production and processing in the United States.
Yeah, as a cattle producer myself, right? It's sometimes I look back and I go, wow, how did we lose that 70-50 and it become a 70-70, and today it's 100 pounds of chicken, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't even slow down. I think chicken offers a unique palate that you can make it whatever it tastes like. Chicken really means it tastes like whatever seasoning and batters and breadings. And I think the poultry industry, particularly chicken industry, was better than any other industry at adding value to products and making products new and different.
Yeah.
The turkey companies at that time were all red meat companies, so they just made lunch meat and they made
Yeah.
hot dogs out of it, and they made all the things we were accustomed to already seeing in red meat. But poultry did it different, right? They started making all these great batter and breaded products and all these really new creative seasoned products. And, you know, for a lot of the beef and pork companies, that was heresy to change the flavor of the
Right.
product, right? And to portion it different. And I think portioning's part of it too. I still challenge the red meat industry. We got to re-examine what we're doing on portioning. There are not consumers that are going to eat a lunch steak that weighs 14 ounces, and
Well,
so
I try, Craig, but
yeah, yeah,
I'm only one guy. Okay.
yeah,
So
right. So we miss an entire day part of opportunity to feed consumers um, a lunch item. And because that chicken breast at 4 ounces is ideal, I can make sandwich or I can make a center of the plate. And I think we have to reimagine how we're portioning. So, um, Phil, you might not know this, but our large bird plant, we process an 8.5 pound chicken.
okay.
So imagine your 1,500 pound steer, right? The equivalent, right? So, but out of that 8.5 pound chicken, we make 6 breast fillets that are that perfect 4 ounce portion.
Right. Yeah.
Instead, I think in the red meat industry, we're faced with how thin am I going to make a ribeye
Yeah. Yep.
before it's unedible, and I have to do a 14, 16 ounce portion.
Yep. Yeah, so you hit on a number of things there, and I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I live mostly in the beef side. I'm a meat scientist. I like all of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I too am a critic of a lot of our red meats in that the poultry world, especially chicken, have been by far the most innovative and have seen what is it that the customer wants. Let's make that instead of saying, here's what we got. I hope you like it.
Yeah.
And there's no question that our farmers and ranchers across all species have gotten really good at growing bigger animals, but that is going to lead to portioning adjustments that need to be made. And that chicken just makes such an amazing flexible palette to work from. And then not to mention, so you mentioned like the 4 ounce chicken breast, but nuggets and tenders. Oh my. I mean, what an incredible pull through demand, not just from, grown up kids like myself, but every kid out there knows what a chicken nugget and a chicken tender is, and they love them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I realized my now 30 some year old oldest child, right? Mid 30s. Um, when she was doing a pageant when she was 5 years old and they asked the kids their favorite food. and it was nugget, 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 right? And that was during that conversion of chicken overcoming beef. And I agree with you. I think we just weren't listening to consumers, what food they wanted and liked, and then always developing and evolving. I was recently asked, like, what are some big products you saw that launched that
Yeah.
changed the poultry industry? And the one that always comes to mind is wings.
Uh-huh.
When I got in this industry, there were still some wings that were being rendered because
Yeah.
they just didn't have any value. You sent them to pet food, is what you did. And so suddenly, a place in New York has buffalo wings. Yeah, that's a, that's a small thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But when I knew it really changed was back-to-back weeks, Domino's Pizza and Pizza Hut showed up at our place and wanted a new wing to go down their pizza oven. So all of a sudden, with my pizza, I was going to have this bone-in wing. And
Yeah.
now we go, well, yeah, of course, everybody does that. It didn't. No one did that.
Right. Right.
No one other than cooking pizzas with that impingement oven, it really didn't do anything else. And suddenly wings become this phenomenon that, we just left the Super Bowl, right? We're heading into
Yeah.
March Madness. Wings have been consumed at a really high level since the 1st of August. So kickoff classic to they'll go through March Madness. And you know what happens the week after March Madness? They ate so many of those wings from August to April that we have to start making for the next August or we won't have enough for the
Oh
next
my
season.
goodness.
So it never stops. We start building new inventory for the fall kickoff classic again, right? So they were so successful with wings, Domino's and Pizza Hut and everybody else that offered them, and that, all the wing joints that formed because of that.
Yeah.
That we outstripped the demand, and so we could not cook enough wings and send enough wings to meet it. So the next launch is, I remember when our technologist Domino's said, I don't know what we're going to do. We cannot get enough of the wings to sell. Uh, what 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 could replace it or take some of the pressure off of that? And the evolution was boneless wings.
Yeah.
So now I've got all this breast meat that's unlimited in quantity, and I'll call it boneless wings because consumers want wings so much. And so now both products are at an unbelievable amount of volume. And so I think you can tie chicken and chicken consumption a little bit to those 2-3 visits that were made by really big QSRs to reimagine for consumers a whole new product category.
Craig, I've always held you in high regard. I didn't realize I would be talking to the guy who brought chicken wings to the masses. Oh my gosh.
the reality is there was a lot of us that had an impact and a part in it.
Yeah.
But definitely because of the penetration that Tyson had.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. It is fun to be in an industry where you made a difference in what people eat away from home and at home.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so
Yeah.
you can look back on that and go, yeah, that's pretty cool.
With an extensive range of equipment, parts, and industrial supplies, Ultrasource has been providing solutions to companies worldwide since 1883. Whether you're looking for kill floor equipment, vacuum packaging, or high-speed labeling, Ultrasource can custom tailor a solution to meet your specific goals and brand image. Choose Ultrasource for all your food packaging and processing needs.
What an impact. Well, and I want to keep going on that one because the chicken wing is one that has always it has flabbergasted me because from a meat science perspective, and I remember in my previous career with that amazing beef company, we'd have the retailers in and we'd be talking about different innovative, great movements of meat products and some of the retail butchers. One of the things we were talking about was, well, how do we recreate the pork back ribs in the beef category? You know, there's just not enough back ribs in beef to keep up with it. And then now we look at back ribs in a grocery store, and they're actually gouging into the loin to get more weight on the back ribs. And in the end, it's still a bunch of bones, guys.
Yeah.
And then the chicken wing thing. The grocery store operators would say, yeah, as people walk by, we'd try to throw them into their cart just to get rid of the darn things back in the day. And now we need birds with 4 wings on them because we can't keep up with demand. Why? Why do people want these wings and back ribs and things like that? I have a theory, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think first of all, you know, because a wing is a skin-on product, cooked, prepared right, with a nice crispy skin, it carries a glaze really, really nice.
Yep.
It's not low fat. It's high flavor, right? So don't listen to consumers when they tell you I want low fat, right? Because watch what they eat. Do they eat breaded, fried chicken sandwiches, or do they eat grilled chicken?
Right.
It's 5 to 1, breaded to. So the wing really does a nice job carrying flavor. It's bone in, so it carries a certain premium kind of look and nature to it. You know, there's a whole thing. Are you, Phil, a flat eater or a drumette eater?
Oh, I like the flat.
See,
yeah, definitely.
And so what's really cool about that is there are consumers that are completely the drumette.
Yeah.
And there's another group, about half of you, that love the flats.
Yeah.
And the chicken makes them in that percentage, right? So
right.
It works out okay.
It works out.
It works out okay. So, yeah, all the new flavors, dry rubs. We didn't just stop with a buffalo wing. We've got, you know, certainly barbecue. We got dry rubs and seasonings. And again, I think it's a tip of the hat to the large R&D groups these poultry companies had, and the suppliers that were providing ingredients to make great tasting wings. And we just launched a new one here at Simmons. We do the Better Good Wings. And so here's the hot tip for the day is if you are wondering what you're going to eat for March Madness, go get a Better Good Wing from Walmart. Dry seats there. You can pick your flavors. So there's 6 or 7 flavors. Drop it in your air fryer, which is another innovation. And that wing is going to be as good as a wing right out of the fryer, right? It's going to be incredible. And so, you know, I think, again, we've continued to evolve and change. I think you're going to see chicken and batter breaded because of the air fryer continue to grow immensely, because suddenly, different than a bake that took forever or a microwave that was soggy and not very good breaded, an air fryer makes it just almost as good as right out of the fryer. So
yeah, it's amazing, you know. And I would add, because you're right on about the texture and the flavor, and it carries the added flavor so well. I think people just like eating with their hands too.
They do.
I think there's a lot to that, honestly.
No, they do, and it's a little messy. And you know, a few years ago, several years ago now, we did a focus group with consumers, and I still remember the number one reason women don't prefer wings at that time, I'm sure it's changed, was you could count the dead soldiers.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Now see, now the
didn't
guy,
think about that.
The guys in the crowd, look at this pile of bones that
I conquered this, right?
I don't know if that's still true or not. Well, we could do a focus group again and find out.
I didn't even think about that. Wow. Well, and there you go. Yeah, I would say, yeah, if I eat a slab of ribs or wings or something, I mean, yeah, look at this. Look at all those I put down. Bring me more. Off with their heads.
There you go.
Oh, how fun. So You mentioned, I'm going to take just a little bit different turn. You mentioned pet food. I think we need to address that. Something that we really haven't talked about much on MeatsPad yet, but it's an enormous career opportunity for folks that are maybe entering new into the career space. And then also for our maybe medium to small size processors out there, there is, I believe, a ton of opportunity for using byproducts, and not just byproducts, but like even maybe regular fresh meat that is harder to sell in certain areas. Use that more in the pet food avenue. So tell us about pet food.
Yeah, I would tell you it's I had worked a little bit in treats at my former employer, but certainly not to the level that pet food is at Simmons.
Mhm,
We're about the number 3 largest wet pet food manufacturer.
mhm.
I always tell the college students this is if you can buy a can or a pouch or a cup off the shelf that isn't made by Simmons, you should go to Vegas because you're really good. Because most of what you're looking at, frankly, none of it has Simmons' name on it, but most of what you're looking at was produced by us.
Okay.
So, um, and you're exactly right. Wet pet food is primarily made of mechanically separated meat that um, is still left on the bone. So it's meat just like you and I consume.
Mhm,
We talk about palatability so that it is very digestible, highly palatable, and so um, when you think about making food for the pets we love, we talk about all the time, our our adoration towards pets and our desire to have pets in our lives and their
mhm.
family members, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that has changed dramatically from the work dog that was outside on the farm isn't they're sleeping with you in the bed and probably nuzzling you out right at night. So um, we love our pets and um, really interesting during COVID. Um, there were 2 things you wouldn't find on the shelf, and that was pet food and toilet paper, right? So, um, and we had to stand a plant up in the middle of COVID because we were so shorting the industry of the amount of pets, food that was wanted. And part of that was our shelters were empty. So
Right.
our pet parents ran out to a shelter, and if they were going to be, you know, tied up inside and not seeing other people, I could share that with my pet.
Yeah.
We grossly overfed them. So most of them came out like us. They come out 10 pounds heavier
A little
and
pot roast.
not
Yeah.
in a good way for the
Right.
pets, right? So but we fed them every time they act like they wanted to eat. So
Yeah.
um no, pet food is really, really fun. We have entered a unique time in that there are more cats than dogs now. I don't know if you
Really?
knew that.
No.
And the largest group of cat owners would be, what do you think? Largest, fastest growing group of cat owners,
Male college students.
young professional males,
Yeah.
because I've got this job. I have to travel.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do with my dog to
Yeah.
who's going to take care of when I'm on the road.
Sure.
And that darn cat will just fend for itself,
They'll be
right?
all right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
They
it'll
kind
be
of, they're a little more independent than
they are
a
they,
pup, huh?
they are. We, pet food's fun, and I talk to college students about this all the time. As humans, only one time in our lifetime did we eat the same static diet for every meal, and that
Okay.
was as babies, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, but most of our pets, we feed the exact same diet for both, usually twice a day, morning
Mhm.
and evening. And so the formulation and the nutrition has to be perfect.
Sure. Hmm.
So we have 42 amino acids, vitamins, and minerals that absolutely have to be within a really tight range
Hmm.
because the food's got to be perfectly formulated.
Sure.
Um, we're also, for the most part, using less functional meat to make this meat product.
Hmm.
So you got to be a really good food scientist that knows how to use starches and gums and all the different things to make these cuts and gravies and all the different things.
Yeah.
By far and away, for our food scientists, the more difficult food to develop is for pets.
Sure. Yeah.
And we also, um, just thinking about all the animal science programs, usually 40-50% of the undergraduates are what's their desired job when they get out of animal science?
Oh, they want to be a veterinarian.
Pre-vet.
Or at least start with that anyway.
Yeah. Until the first organic chemistry or
Oh,
biochem, right?
it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah. So the reality is what we're finding are a lot of students that have a real desire to do something with companion animals,
Yeah.
and they're not going to get in vet school. And so we're seeing a lot of those young people, like some of them become meat scientists. We love that too.
Mhm.
Some of them get involved in pet food manufacturing, and our animal science programs are full of really great students who want to give something back to pets.
At MeatsPad, we're proud to collaborate with the American Meat Science Association to help share the conversations shaping the future of meat science. The association brings together students, researchers, educators, and industry professionals to exchange knowledge, support innovation, and strengthen the next generation of leaders. Through this podcast, we help extend that mission by bringing those stories and insights directly to our audience. Learn more at meatscience.org.
Yeah. Well, and that's an excellent avenue, and I absolutely endorse that. Every once in a while I'll get some of those students that, well, maybe vet school is not a great direction, but there are other amazing ways that you can serve pets and you can serve
Yes.
animals, and so I mean there it is right there. Great opportunities all across the board. So as you move on to your next adventures in life, what would you throw out there as far as what is the vision of the meat industry? I mean, folks out there, if you don't know, Craig has been recently inducted into the Meat Industry Hall of Fame. That's no small deal. That means that you're an influencer, and that means that you are a visionary. And I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm trying to let folks know that there's a good reason why we're having this discussion, and there's a good reason why I believe that you can probably elucidate to our listeners where are we going with meat.
Yeah, thanks. Again, it was a pretty humbling experience. I said when some of your employers, the founders of that company, were inducted,
Yeah,
not Oscar Mayer the company, but Oscar Mayer the man
the
and the
man. Yeah,
Hillshire family. So yeah, it was pretty humbling.
yeah,
No, I love this industry. The old cliche that I've never worked a day in my life because I have fun doing what I
yeah,
do, right?
yeah.
So um I I think I said this at the induction ceremony. Every day I learn something.
Mhm.
If you'll just pause at the end of the day and take a brief moment in the variety of things I get to touch, you're going to count something that you didn't know before you started the day, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um, I've got an opportunity. I'll speak at the Food Safety Conference of the Poultry Federation in April,
Mhm.
and a little bit of peek beneath the curtain. I'm going to challenge that. I think government and industry are collaborating in a way I've not seen since I've been in this industry in terms of
Okay.
salmonella. I'm
Mhm.
very excited about what Dr. Mindy Brashears brings and
Mhm.
what the industry folks are bringing. And so I think we're going to continue to make meat safer.
Mhm.
Um, what an inevitable time to be involved in the meat industry when suddenly uh, meat protein has got to the right position on the food pyramid.
Mhm.
That's been
Mhm.
a long time coming. I don't know why we're shocked and surprised because let's just take a simple stomach animal, a pig.
Yep.
And my kids showed show pigs all the way at Louisville and Kansas City, and they showed sheep and cattle. But particularly as we think about a stomach, a non-ruminant like a pig,
Mm-hmm.
like us, if I wanted to make my pig fatter,
Mm-hmm.
I put more carbohydrate. I put more
Yep.
corn in.
Yep.
If I wanted to
Simple
make them
carbohydrates.
leaner, I put more protein, soybeans
Yep.
in the diet, and it doesn't get much simpler than that. So why are we shocked, even as animal scientists, when a higher protein diet will help in some of our obesity problems, right?
Yep.
So interesting, and I don't know, again, just basic nutritional facts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're going to get a chance through our extension service and our state by state to reach the masses, the public, to better educate them that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
And all this previous noise you heard about animal proteins probably just was that. It was a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we're seeing it in terms of consumption. We're probably not going to fill their baskets full of cattle,
Mm-hmm.
beef for a while, just with the sheer numbers and what we've got out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see protein grow. I think we're going to see chicken grow, mostly because there's more supply of it, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago from Jim Lochner, per capita consumption really is based on how much we produce.
Sure.
And so
Interesting. Yeah.
there's an export component to it that the takeaway from international sales, but at the end of the day, beef is not going to grow in terms of per capita consumption just because there's not enough beef there to do that.
Right. Right. Yep.
If it holds its own, it'll be lucky. So
yeah, we're pretty flat on that, and a lot of that just has to do with the fact that we've made them bigger. We don't have
yes.
as many, but we've made them bigger. So
yeah. If they weren't bigger, can you imagine? And
Oh,
by the way,
yeah.
the pigs have got bigger, the chickens have got
Mhm.
bigger. It takes the same amount of inputs to process a larger animal as it does a smaller animal,
Mhm.
and the economics just don't work to make them any smaller. So if anyone thinks, well, we'll fix that beef steak problem that I mentioned earlier just by making them smaller, the
Mhm.
economics just will never make that work. So
No.
but does a ribeye have to be oval in shape, or could it be a half moon in shape? I think it could be a half moon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we can do with the knife. You started the discussion with that, saying, that
Yeah.
chicken breast can be cut into many different directions, many different ways. The red meat folks can learn a lot from the poultry side, and yeah, I often am showing some of those alternative fabrication styles, especially on the beef side, since the cattle are so big. But I tell you, you get an old butcher in the room, and they'll just about have a heart attack on you when you do that. So
Yeah, no doubt. And I will tell you, that's probably the other thing I got to be involved in. There was a little company in Redmond, Washington, that had this new technology, and um, being located in Redmond, they hired away 3 of the top Microsoft developers because
sure.
they're next door neighbors, right?
Sure. Yep.
And this new technology was called water portioning,
Mhm.
DSI water portioning. And I spent a lot of time up there with those guys in the early years when they were trying to figure out how to make this technology work, right? But essentially, what it does is it 3-dimensionally scans a breast fillet. And then with those really smart computer software developers, it says what's the best way to cut breast fillets and boneless wings. And we're going to cut a few strips too.
Mhm.
So those tenderloins I'm eating are actually not all chicken tenderloins. Some of them are breast strips.
Mhm.
And it can do all that in milliseconds.
Yeah.
Literally, you have to slow down the speed of the camera to be able to watch it make the cut, right?
Wow.
So, and now we're portioning horizontally because the the thickest part of that 8.5 pound chicken that I mentioned is 1.25 inches thick. So it's
Yeah.
it's a ribeye steak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I got to cut that down too. So I'll take a shoulder portion, do a double thick cut, and then run it through another piece of equipment and make two perfectly sized breast fillets out of that evenly split cut.
Yeah.
And all that was done without a butcher. It was done with technology.
Yeah.
And so again, that'll be the thing. The beef industry needs to continue to evolve. Pork industry needs to continue to evolve, because it doesn't all have to be done with people and a knife. We can do a lot of this with really great vision technology, right?
Yeah. Yeah, prior to 2020, I was very reluctant to believe that all of this automation and robotics especially would truly enter into the meat side. I was just, the human hand is still the best option, and in many cases it still continues to be in beef side of things. But then I started hanging out with some of these software engineers, mechanical engineers. I've changed my tune
Yeah.
180 degrees.
Yeah.
It can happen. It is happening. It must happen. The art will still be there, and especially for our smaller operators, that the large technology maybe doesn't make sense, but it has to happen. We just don't know have enough people out there to get the job done, and we have to continue to make meat and food products, for that matter, affordable, and that's how you do that.
Yeah, it is. And in this case, I can tell you, if you do hand portioning versus machine portioning, it'll be less variable than the
Yeah.
hand portioning all day
Oh
long.
yeah.
It'll do a better job.
Yep.
And so, isn't that kind of an example of how the chicken industry was um, more advanced, was not afraid of new technology,
Right.
moved quicker, faster? I think, you know, I think the beef and pork industry both could learn a lesson from how advanced, how innovative the poultry, and not just the products, but how you make the products too, right? So,
Yeah.
most of us that are in this industry don't see ourselves as a chicken company or a beef company or a pork company. We're a protein company. While Simmons doesn't, the vast majority of the meat companies today don't see themselves as a chicken company or a turkey company. They do all of those,
Yeah.
right? So we're just trying to make really great, innovative products. Again, for consumers that are going to love to have animal protein be a part of that diet, and actually no one telling them that it wasn't the right thing to do anymore.
Yeah. There's no question that animal products, proteins are highly desirable. They taste good. Hey, nature
Yes.
nailed it in the first try,
Yes.
right? Like, it tastes
Exactly.
good and it's good for you.
Exactly.
What a phenomenon. So, I want to wrap things up a little bit with, tell us, you already gave us a little bit of your background, early career kind of stuff. What drew you to the meat business? I mean, you're a cattleman at heart. So tell us a little bit how you ended up where you are.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I told this story a little bit to students at the University of Tennessee this last week. Is do not ever think that your career is probably going to be a straight line, because
No.
it's going to have zigs and zags in it, most likely. Mine was full of zigs and zags. So I started out thinking I wanted to be an ag teacher.
Okay.
Wanted to be on the livestock judging team.
Yeah.
And so I went to University of Missouri and completed my certification as an ag teacher. I showed up to Dr. Jerry Lipsey's livestock judging team evening kickoff, and he told my roommate and I that, hey, I want you to go see Bill Stringer and be on the meats team, and then come back a year later and talk to me. So, so we did. I completed a year of meats judging, had no idea what it was about, and kind of liked it, right? And, you know, any of those that know Jerry Lipsey, Jerry went on to be executive director of the Simmental Association for a number of years later. But Jerry's true background was he was a meat scientist, and he was on staff with 4 or 5 other people that went on to be at the University of Tennessee in that meats era of Dykeman and Hunter and all those guys. So,
legends. Yep.
So, I was going to coach meats judging teams. Dr. Dwight Loveday was at the University of Nebraska, and I was excited to go work with Dr. Loveday and Chris Calkins and Mandigo and the team that was up there.
Yeah.
And Dwight called me in April and said, "Hey, by the way, I have went to University of Tennessee, and you think you'd like to follow me down to Tennessee?" This is in April, where I get married in May and start graduate school in June.
Oh yeah.
So
just do it all at once.
so the group made it happen. And so I pursued both a master's and a PhD in meat science. Loved every minute of it. A great set of meat scientists there. Finished up, and at that time, the openings for meat scientists were muscle biologists, of which I am not. So you need to do what you enjoy doing, but injecting live animals with clenbuterol to see what kind of muscle growth you get just wasn't what I was interested in doing.
Sure.
And so started Oscar Mayer. 2 of us interviewed for a job. I say this often. They brought in 2 candidates, a kid out of Iowa State and myself out of University of Tennessee. And they interviewed both of us. We did a presentation of our graduate work during that interview. And they got done with interviewing both of us, and they said, "We're going to hire both of you." His name is Kevin Myers. He's still the senior vice president for Hormel. And as we've talked about my history. So we both end up okay.
You did all right.
We did okay.
You've done well.
Again, I get a chance every chance I get on campuses and talk to students. I still love the classroom. That would have been what I thought I was going to do, just as you do. And I would have loved every minute of it. I still do that to feel that burning desire to talk to students. I think I talked to 6,000 students in 7 or 8 land grants this fall. Because our number one need in the meat industry is talent.
Yeah.
And my number one job is talent. Most people think it's technical knowledge or chicken wings, I guess. But the reality is it's about bringing young people in that'll develop the next chicken wing and the next boneless wing and the next pet food that my dog can't do without.
That's great. That is an excellent place to wrap things up. This has been a ton of fun. Folks, if you don't know about Dr. Bacon or want to learn more, check him out. You can Google him. A lot of great information out there. I have had the honor and privilege to be serving on the American Meat Science Association Board of Directors with Dr. Bacon. He has been an enormous asset leader and currently our treasurer of the association. So I assume we will continue to see each other again in the future. Thank you, Dr. Bacon.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed today. Thank you.
Of course.